Police Radio Tech 108.
Hi. We have a huge pig on our front porch. We can't get out our front door this morning.
Well, I don't know what they'll do, but I wrote it up so someone will come out, okay?
By the time this officer arrives, other cops and neighbors are standing around the mystery pig with no sign of its owner.
You guys don't know where it's from? Hey, it tried to bite me!
No, bad pig.
Don't bite me again, pig. I mean, does anybody, like, where does just one of these things just come from?
To crack the case, this hog on the loose needs to be brought under control, and a helpful neighbor, Hannah, is willing to try.
I wish we were on a farm.
But it doesn't want. What are we going to do with it when we grab it? Oh, it's not like that. I heard pigs are intelligent.
They are.
Can you lead us to your house? I guess not.
As a clever swine is not giving up the address of her pigsty, an officer is conducting a door-to-door inquiry.
You got pigs?
This is my daughter's house.
Does she have pigs?
She has a potbelly pig.
It's loose.
Well, it must have got out.
Now, the runaway pig is identified as Acorn, and she is reunited with her owners. Finally, the naughty pig is persuaded to move. After a brisk walk, she arrives back where she belongs.
Is she on now?
And the neighbors can only hope that from now on, this little piggy will want to stay home. New York City. If there's one thing that stresses neighbors out in this busy metropolis, it's getting places on time. So when this woman tries to board a bus when it's not at an official stop, her neighbors are not impressed.
No, we don't let you on like that, no.
After being denied entry, the neighbor decides to hold everyone hostage by walking in front of the bus.
Are you serious? She's gonna make everybody late? She needs to be arrested.
As the neighbor gestures to other vehicles to pass, the driver has little choice but to slow roll behind her.
Get out of the way, old lady!
While the neighbors on board throw down some real talk. But instead of backing down, this neighbor risks her own safety.
Lay on the horn. Just lay on the horn the whole time.
Even the sound of the horn doesn't faze her. Finally, after a 7-minute holdup, the passenger stops recording, and the bus driver succeeds in getting past the human obstacle. However, while this lady may feel entitled to be on the bus again tomorrow, she will not be welcomed by these neighbors. One of the cool things about owning your own home is the freedom to model it exactly how you choose and really show off your personal taste to your neighbors. And 30-year-old Australian hair colorist Mikey O'Halloran has a unique style.
I am very proud to be a gay man. I'm colorful 24/7. I literally am a walking pride flag, but pride is 365 days a year for me.
When Mikey buys his first home, a beach cottage in a quiet neighborhood 2 hours from the city of Melbourne, he starts to make it his own.
I am loving this blue.
But when some of his neighbors see what Mikey's doing with his fence, they don't appreciate the transformation.
The word got out through a tradesman to a neighbor next door and across the road that I planned on painting the outside of my house rainbow.
And things take a dark turn one night. A group of neighbors appear on Mikey's property uninvited.
There were 5 men standing in my backyard, and it was pitch black.
And Mikey is so scared that he uses his phone to record one of the neighbors threatening him.
If you find that house that colour, I'll mate you again. It won't be so nice. I'm telling you.
I haven't met you.
I'm telling you. Don't paint your house.
It's not fair. I was just in a complete panic of shock.
See what happens with gay.
I was bullied in high school. I've been through all this and I'm in a really good place. This was 3 weeks after I moved into my new home, and I was being absolutely ridiculed for what I planned on doing to my own house that I bought, which I have the right to paint whatever colour I want. It was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life.
Seeing red, Mikey decides to fight back, so he posts about the experience on social media.
2 days later, all these people reached out to me saying that people would love to come and help me paint my house.
And that's exactly what happens.
Planning how the front is gonna look. It started.
Around 50 neighbors pitch in to make his multicolored dream come true.
Just helping. My neighbors were really there for me and they really stood up for me. By coming to the house and picking up a paintbrush or even just showing up on the day just to show support and say hello and welcome to the neighborhood was so lovely.
And even law enforcement are lending a hand.
Love it. The deck comes to life. The rainbow house has become a reality.
Now that his house is perfect, Mikey presses charges against the 23-year-old neighbor who threatens him. And when the case comes to court, the neighbor is convicted of assault.
He had to pay a $2,500 fine to an LGBT charity. I hope that he has learned a valuable lesson. Accepting people is the way of the future. Live and let live.
The neighbor moves overseas, and Mikey hasn't seen him since. But Mikey's rainbow home has become a neighborhood landmark.
A lot of people stop by my house and take photos, and that's what this house is about. It's about spreading joy and making people happy, and that's my every intention of having a rainbow house, is to put smiles on people's faces.
Who doesn't love coming home to find a delivery van? With porch piracy on the rise, the only way to ensure your package is safely delivered, maybe if it's handed to you by the driver themselves. But looks can be deceiving. The delivery driver assumes the woman who just pulled into the driveway lives at this address. But it turns out this stranger is just posing as the homeowner. And once the delivery van is out of sight, she absconds with the package. Porch pirates shadowing delivery trucks is a growing problem in neighborhoods throughout the country. Thieves will follow the trucks, hanging back until delivery is made, and then swooping in for the steal. This porch pirate, who's still at large, skips the porch altogether and just lets the package come to her. Security experts suggest having packages sent to a neighbor's house or a work location if you can't be home during delivery times. That way, your package will find its way to you, rather than someone pretending to be you. New Orleans, Louisiana is one of the biggest party cities in the country. From Bourbon Street to neighborhood block parties, the atmosphere is wild and unpredictable. And no one could predict the response of New Orleans native Byron Cole when he receives a request from the elderly neighbors living next door.
A couple of my neighbors called me and they were like, B, they having a jazz fest down the street. We can't even get our cars through there.
Always eager to lend a neighborly hand, Byron walks to the end of the block and he's shocked by what he finds.
Somebody's car here blocking the street and they're having a party. See them down there? We're trying to see now if they have a permit.
With no sign of a permit in sight, Byron calls the New Orleans Police Department to come down and assess the situation. But before they arrive, the neighbor, who appears to have organized the block party, approaches Byron to address his concerns.
We're trying to have a good time for 1 hour,
Yeah.
and then it'll be over. We got margaritas, we got tacos.
I don't want any margaritas. I don't want any tacos. What I want is I want to be considered. Where are you from? Where you can just come shut my street down and don't tell me you're having a party or nothing?
This is my home, and I would love.
Where you from? This street ain't your home.
It is.
Where you from?
I'm from here.
You're not from this street. I live in my great-grandmother's house. You a lie.
I live here.
I was raised there. I know you weren't raised here. Where are you from?
Arkansas.
You came on a false premise. You're from here. I had to break you down from that. But you're really from Arkansas. I pay more property tax than anybody here.
I don't even live right.
I can't get through here. It's a one-way, sweetie.
Then go around, sir.
Yeah. I know you're sentiment.
Some of the fellow neighbors at the block party try to intervene.
Man, look. Look, this is my neighborhood. I don't need to be nice. We at wall. We want to know why the they blocked the street and ain't tell us.
I don't want my kids to get run over.
Yeah, bitch. Get a permit. You don't got no white privilege here, Arkansas, bitch.
Pushed to the brink by Byron's verbal assault, the woman does something not even Byron sees coming.
Look at this. Yeah, we know what you was from the jump, bitch. We know what you was from the jump.
All hell breaks loose as another party goer gets involved.
Look, you bitch. You bitch. Your privilege is extinct here, ho. Your privilege is extinct here, ho. Get the bitch. On what authority did we gotta ask you to move on our street? You old trifling. 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 Shut her down, bitch. Yeah, your mama. Your plantation Miss Daisy.
The New Orleans police arrive to defuse the tense situation.
They had no permit. They blocked the street with their personal car. I can prove everything I'm saying.
Pressured by Byron and the police presence, the mooning neighbor clears the blockade, and Byron heads home to let his elderly neighbors know the coast is now clear. And according to Byron, he hasn't had a run-in with his disruptive neighbor again.
Ain't running New Orleans. Unapologetic!
In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Lake Worth, Florida, 19-year-old Caden Hillary is crazy about fishing. One day, Caden and two of his friends are casting their lines in a local pond, which is part of a homeowners association. They don't live here, but they have fished in this spot many times before with no issues.
All right, let me cast it.
But just as they start reeling in the catch,
Oh my God, there's like 10 of them!
Caden sees a neighbor approaching whose house backs onto the pond.
The lake isn't your property. The lake's not your property.
Suddenly, with no warning, the neighbor lashes out.
Yes, it is. Oh.
Caden finds himself in the 6-foot lake, fully clothed, and luckily, his friend helps him out. Stunned by what just happened, Caden and his buddies confront the neighbor, who is with his wife and kids.
What's your problem, bro?
What happened?
You guys cannot fish here. You cannot fish here. There's no sign there. Leave. Why'd you come out here and touch him? Leave. Why'd you touch anybody? He's slipping and fall.
I slipped and fell?
Yeah. You just pushed him. No?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. It's on camera.
It's literally on camera.
Next, the neighbor calls the police, even though he is the one who pushed Caden into the water.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy called you. Dude, he pushed me in the lake.
I'm sorry, what?
I swear to God, he pushed me in the lake.
You have that on camera?
I got it on camera.
Show me that.
All right.
At this point, Caden stops filming, but to avoid being charged with assault, the neighbor is ordered to attend anger management classes and write a letter of apology. Caden insists he is still waiting for the letter, but he hasn't seen the neighbor again because he and his friends now fish elsewhere. There are plenty of other fishing ponds in this neighborhood. When you move to a new neighborhood, you never know what kind of neighbors you'll have. Unless you're like Alex in Santiago.
We've been best friends since, 15, 16 years, something like that. He's super annoying.
I love this guy.
Love you, brother.
As Alex's drone camera shows, after 20 years of friendship, these two best buddies moved to the New Jersey suburbs in 2021, right across the street from each other.
Hey, what if we just buy houses next to each other, across the street or something?
Everybody jokes about that.
Yeah, but we made it happen.
Yeah. Living next to your neighbor isn't quite what we thought it would be. We thought it'd be like slumber parties every day type stuff.
Hey!
It's not long before a neighborhood prank war is in full swing.
We've been playing pranks on each other for a long time.
Yeah. Obviously, after we moved in, it escalated.
One of his videos hit 100,000 views.
The friends turned neighbors begin documenting their pranks for social media.
And he called me dude, you have to make a video. We went viral. Everybody's asking for the other guy's POV. So I made one video And within 24 hours, I was like at 2 million views.
Look at that. What are you doing? Is he doing Zumba?
And it just kept going from there.
Videos of their neighborhood antics are now wildly popular.
The best prank that he did to me was, it probably is the drone. That's 100%. Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my mind around how I could get him in such a way as to where there was no possible way he could one-up me. And I thought, he doesn't have a drone, but I do. So I thought it'd be pretty epic to walk my dogs for once, right? Gather their poop, and then fly it over with my drone to his house and release it on his front lawn. And all I thought to myself is, if this thing lands on somebody else's house, it's gonna be a problem. Like if the whole thing just falls out of the sky.
But for these neighboring friends, they've created more than just social media hype.
There goes the neighborhood.
Some people are probably like, here these guys go again. And then there's the other people are like, here these guys go again.
Or they're watching from their windows, so jealous they're not playing with us.
They've created a home.
I just wanted to have a collection of memories where I just do the dumbest things to him.
Also that, I guess.
And everyone in their neighborhood should expect the pranks to continue.
I definitely have some things up my sleeve.
I do. I definitely.
You don't even sound confident right now. I got some things cooking,
because the thing is, it's reactionary. I have to wait for him to do something.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Making this neighborhood prank war one for the ages.
You're a special kind of piece of work, man.
In neighborhoods all over America, individuals spend their time on different hobbies and activities, from fun games to extreme sports. But at a city commissioners meeting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
welcome to the city commission meeting.
One group's special interest is about to raise some eyebrows.
Is Ms. Crave here?
Here.
You signed up to speak. Would you care to speak?
Yes, sir.
Come on up.
To everyone's surprise, 3 neighbors appear in dominatrix-style outfits.
Good evening, council peoples. You may call me Mistress.
Today, the counselors are discussing whether to spend $1 million on a waste processing plant. But this rubber-clad neighbor has a different idea.
So, I propose that you use a quarter of that mill to support doms and subs in Broward County to build a dungeon. Created for us by us, the taxpayers and voting citizens. In closing, do not let this glamorous look distract you from doing your duty to take my demand. I look forward to spanking each and every single one of you at the new esteemed dungeon. You are dismissed.
Okay, thank you. And happy holidays to you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Despite the mistress's kinky request, the counselors feel their hands are tied.
Do I hear a motion to approve CP3? Do I hear a second?
Second, but not for the dungeon.
So they go ahead and allocate funds to the garbage disposal plant. But it's good to know that this is a neighborhood where all neighbors feel at home. Even if for them, that home is a dungeon.
You are dismissed.
The small community of Weeki Wachee boasts a population of only a few dozen people year-round. One of the lucky residents is Jonathan Prout.
Neighborhood is like kind of out in the woods, but it's right on the Weeki Wachee River. I mean, not a lot of houses go up for sale around here because it's so beautiful. So most of the people that are out here are, 60 and older.
And because Jonathan and his friends are so much younger, lifestyle differences pose a problem with the older neighbors.
They're not really hip to the new way of life, and they're not very open-minded.
Cutting our damn jumping trees down.
And the differences between these two generations all come to the surface one sunny morning when Jonathan is out paddling past his neighbor's dock with 2 friends.
The girls that were on the paddleboard, one is a roommate and another one was just a friend, and I took them on a paddleboard ride, and when we went past the dude's house is when they were kissing.
But Jonathan sees a neighbor getting upset at the women locking lips.
When I seen him coming to his dock, he was starting to yell something. I told my friend to start to record.
I got a problem with you. I don't care. I don't get to take your problem job with me. You control the car.
He's telling me that if I bring girls past his house kissing again, he's gonna whoop my ass.
You're not intimidating at all, buddy.
What makes matters worse is that Jonathan has never seen this man before today.
None of us had seen him. Like he literally, I think that was the first day that he was even at the house.
The new neighbor rolls up his sleeves and inches closer to the edge of his dock.
You better be ready for that house.
I wasn't surprised that he came out and yelled, but I was definitely surprised that he jumped in the river after me.
Oh my God. Oh, he's coming. Look, he's in the water, dude. What are you doing? Is this real?
But even when the neighbor jumps in to fight, Jonathan isn't taking the bait.
No, be up right now. I'm right here. Be up. Quit talking with your little ears.
The neighbor even makes fun of Jonathan's ears.
So I had cat ears on, and I wore them throughout the day. He thought that they were like not masculine, and that he was just picking on me about them.
You ain't gonna beat nothing. Yeah, you ain't beating.
But even as they yell at each other, Jonathan plans to stay nonviolent.
So I was saying anything I could just keep him from coming close to me.
You come through here again. I live right here. I don't give a where you live. I live right there.
But as the neighbor closes in on his kayak, Jonathan's plans change.
I was feeling like I was gonna have to hurt him, to keep myself safe.
This is real life. We might have to call the police.
I had planned on making him eat the end of my paddle.
Yeah, boy. I'm gonna show you what a boy is.
So he should probably just chill and leave us alone.
I'm right here. I'm right here, brother.
The argument finally ends with Jonathan and his friends paddling away. But a new development occurs soon after.
So the next day after he came in the river after me, he decided that he didn't want no more issues with me. So him and I started talking after that, and he bought me a dinner.
Jonathan and his neighbor are able to put their differences aside to maintain peace.
When I go by there now, he waves and everything. We're cordial with each other.
But Jonathan has some advice for his other neighbors.
Mind your own business. It's really not, anyone's business what anyone else is doing unless they're hurting someone.
No, be up right now.
And basically, let neighbors do whatever floats their boat.
If they're not on your property and they're not hurting anyone, just leave them alone.
Twin Creeks, Indiana. Donata Banks has been living in a family neighborhood with her husband Corey for 6 years. When new neighbors, 26-year-old Luvia, her husband Miguel, and their 3 daughters move in across the street, they soon become friends.
We actually just got along very well. We would sit out there and talk. They would offer beer to us, and we would get drinks out there with them.
We thought, oh, what a nice couple moving in. But the first thing out of the husband's mouth was how well did we know their neighbors to the right of them. And we had to tell them we knew them pretty well, unfortunately.
According to Donata, the married couple who live near Luvia and her husband are problem neighbors.
They would accuse us of all kinds of things. She's shouting obscenities. Someone's working on my house. She's calling the police.
Soon after they move in, Luvia claims that the neighbors start making racist comments.
Go back to Mexico.
So Luvia starts recording.
I'm actually Mexican, so I have always been proud of it. My whole life, I lived here in Indianapolis. I never experienced racism against me. Purchasing the home was the worst decision of my life.
One evening, when Luvia is walking on what she thinks is her front yard, Luvia says the neighbor starts yelling at her.
Get off my property. Get your fat ass off my property.
I am on my property.
It turns out that the neighbors think that 2 feet of Luvia's yard belongs to them. And as Luvia and her family don't have a fence marking their boundary, it becomes a constant issue. One afternoon, the neighbor becomes angry that Luvia's husband is mowing the contested part of the yard.
Mexican's gonna be dead.
And she turns her attention to Luvia and Donata, who are sitting on Luvia's porch.
When she tells me I'm gonna wrap the water hose around your neck, I'm feeling terrified, I'm feeling scared.
You feel like nothing's safe anymore. So yeah, I was really scared.
The police are called several times, and they advise Luvia to put no trespassing signs on the strip of land she believes to be part of her yard.
My neighbor would remove the no trespassing signs and throw them on my driveway. We didn't have proof it was her, but it was obviously her.
A few months later, Donata is sitting outside her house across the street when she sees the other neighbor confronting Luvia and her husband. So, Donata starts recording.
Get that sign out of my yard, you piece of trash.
I just had a feeling that something was about to happen.
Suddenly, the neighbor marches toward Luvia and Miguel in a fury.
When she throws the sign at my husband, I can see the anger in her eyes, in my husband's eyes, and I don't know what's gonna happen next.
No, touch me, I'll kill you.
Calm down.
Let her.
Calm
let
down.
her. Let her. Let her.
Calm down.
Let her. Let her.
Calm down.
Let her.
Hey.
Let her. No, let her. Let her. It was very shocking. I never thought it was ever going to get, physical. It was actually terrifying.
Call the police.
Hey.
I've already called the police.
Okay, let the police come out here. This was supposed to be the best time of my life, being first-time homeowners, and it was just so horrible.
The neighbors, Donata and Corey, are watching from across the street, and when the angry neighbor notices, she turns on them too.
Go back in your house.
Do it.
And they are scared.
I am worried for my neighbor's safety, everyone's safety. We're in the fear on a daily of walking out to our house, to our car.
When the police arrive, the neighbor is arrested and charged with trespassing, battery, and assault. The charges are later dismissed. However, when the video goes viral, 20 other neighbors come forward and complain to the HOA that the neighbor also harassed them. After an investigation, the HOA asked the problem neighbors to sell. But it's Donata and the Fair Housing Center of Indiana who take the neighbor to court for racial discrimination.
It makes me very sad to think about how she made us feel. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
The neighbor loses the case and is ordered to pay total damages of $225,000 for harassment and taunting people based on their race and national origin.
I never let her see me cry. I let her pay for what she did, and she's going to pay.
When the new neighbors move in, they have no issue with the boundary line.
It felt like I could live in peace. My kid could go outside and play. So it just felt great. I mean, it just felt like a beautiful, normal home.
Now, all the neighbors enjoy cookouts and socializing with one another.
It's nice to have Donata and her husband as neighbors because they're always there for us. This incident brings the whole neighborhood together. So everybody's happy now.